What's cracking, guys? Bruce Madsen here, your host show of Metric Scout Fantasy Football. Tomorrow night is the NFL Draft. We are finally here. We are going to see where these guys are going, who their next team is going to be, what their Dynasty Fantasy Football value is going to be for the long-term, short-term, or wherever they're going to go in our rookie drafts. But I wanted to give you my guys in this year's rookie draft class. Not my top guys, not my favorite guys, not rankings. These guys aren't even ranked in a particular order. It's not 1 through 10, so there's guys that are ranked ahead of them, but these are my guys. These are my guys where I'm watching the values, and I'm going to make sure I get them in at least one league, if not multiple, and I'm willing to buy the dips. I'm willing to overpay a little bit. There's not a chance I come away from this year's crop of rookie drafts and I do not have a share of any of these players. Like, no chance at all. I'm drafting these guys, bar none. Let me know in the comments who you're going out of your way to draft in your leagues. Drop it right there. While you're doing that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. But we're going to get into it right now. My top 5 guys from this year's rookie draft class. A lot of you guys are going to be able to guess a lot of these players, especially if you've been following the channel the last few weeks, months, or whatever, watching the mock drafts, watching the breakdowns and all that. My number 1 player, though, you're probably going to be able to guess it. It's David Bell, wide receiver from Purdue. I'm buying the dips. I'm going hard in the paint in the second round, drafting him up. I may pay a little bit more than the asking price. I'm not afraid to do that. If he falls in the NFL draft, I'm buying those dips. I'll draft him in the 3rd round. I'll draft him in the 4th round. I'll draft him in the 5th round. I do not see him falling that far, but I'm prepared for anything. I'm stockpiled with ammunition, ready to go get my guy. And what I like about him, he's been productive throughout his collegiate career. 27% market share of the passing production as an 18-year-old freshman, then 33.71 at age 19 as a sophomore, and then 31.47% market share at age 20 of produced passing production during his junior season this last year. And those are phenomenal market share stats. Great breakout age 18. One of 3 wide receivers to break out at age 18 in this class. And you know what? All 3 of them are on my list. All 3 of them are, because I like guys with good breakout age. I like good wide receivers. David Bell doesn't do much wrong on the field. He has a good release package, great ball skills, and can really make big plays happen in big moments. I know he failed the combine. I know that happened. I got a YouTube video on it. You can catch that in the archives. I know that happened. I know that's going to impact his stock. I know that impacts his stock for a lot of you guys watching the show, but I still like David Bell. I still am very intrigued by his prospect profile. I look at him more like a guy who could build up his resume over time at the NFL level. I feel like his draft stock may not fall as far as what people are predicting. I think people are just watching from the distance to see what happens. But there's a chance he can go in the 2nd round. There's a chance he can be a 3rd rounder. There's a good chance he'll be a day 2 pick, especially after the big guys come off the board in the 1st round, early 2nd round, because then there's a big drop-off in talent, and David Bell's right there looking at all those teams in the face. They're going to see the production. They're going to see the highlight reel. David Bell's got the goods. My 2nd player I want to talk about here today, he's up there with David Bell for me, and I talked about him a lot this offseason. I've been talking him up since December, November. I mean, I've been talking him up as a top-tier Devy prospect. Pretty much I could just say I've been talking him up for years. But it's George Pickens, wide receiver from Georgia. I am buying him up. I am paying up for him. If he goes to a good situation, great. If he goes to a bad situation, great. If he falls in the draft, I'm buying the dips. I don't care. I'm getting George Pickens on my Dynasty rosters. I'm going to have at least 1 share. Even if things go to hell in the NFL draft, it's hellfire and brimstones. I'm still drafting George Pickens. I do not care. If he falls to the 7th round, guess my 5th round pick is going to George Pickens. Guess my 4th round rookie pick is going to George Pickens. He is another wide receiver who broke out at age 18 with a 23.29% market share of Georgia's passing production. He then had a 20% market share in 2020 at age 19 during his sophomore season. As we all know, This year, he had that ACL injury, didn't really play, had some moments at the end of the season, but his resume is scarred from that. So that's going to cause him to fall a little bit more than he really should. But honestly, if he played the entire 2021 season, was doing what he was doing during his freshman and sophomore year, there's a very good chance we'd be talking about him among Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks. He's that type of talent, and we're getting him at a good discount, and I'm willing to buy that all day. Third player that I'm getting in all my leagues, another wide receiver. I love wide receivers. When it comes to all positions in fantasy football, real football, whatever, when I cover them and you want the best information, it's the wide receiver position. That's where I go ham. That's what I'm really known for in the industry, is talking up wide receivers. When it comes to grinding the film, when it comes to the metrics, that is my strong suit. A guy I like and a guy that I'm buying. I'll buy the dips. I'll buy them high. Whatever happens on draft day, I'm getting him on at least one of my teams, and that's Justin Ross, wide receiver from Clemson. Back in the day, about 3-4 years ago, when Trevor Lawrence was there slinging the rock, him and Justin Ross was a beautiful, magical connection. He was one of the top wide receivers in all of college football in yards per route run, broke out at age 18 with a 23.89% market share. Follow that up at age 19 with a 20% market share. Then the injury occurred in 2020 during his age 20 season, and this year he came back to a horrific Clemson offense. Horrific. Production standards, though, a 22.37% market share of Clemson's passing production. Would have been a lot higher if he had good quarterback play, but that wasn't in the cards. He is a very good route runner. You can't shake him off. He'll just throw guys down. He's very aggressive, good hands, good ball skills, very cerebral. I like to see where he goes in the NFL draft, but he's a guy I do not want to walk away from my basket of rookie drafts without getting at least one share. My next player I'm drafting up this year is a running back. One of the few running backs that I'm very excited about. I'm not really into the running back class, even though I'm going to be drafting a lot of them. I'm going to be drafting a lot of those cheap running backs in the 3rd and 4th round of rookie drafts, just hitting them up, hitting that draft button on those guys, closing my eyes and hoping they hit, hoping they get a return on the investment. But this guy right here, I want to draft in a lot of my leagues. And I'm talking about Zamir White, running back from Georgia, Zeus. And he's been productive throughout his collegiate career, even though he's been sharing the backfield with some horses. He has a 95th percentile size-adjusted speed score, even after multiple knee injuries, colossal knee injuries. And this guy has still been able to be a specimen in the athleticism department. Double-digit touchdowns in each of his last 2 seasons, over 850 yards in 2021 while sharing the backfield. And we're going to get him at a decent price point. And there's a chance that he gets drafted higher than expected. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think that might happen. He could sneak into the 2nd round of this year's draft. That could potentially happen. There's a chance he gets drafted over Isaiah Spiller. There's a chance that happens. There's a chance he goes higher in the 2nd round than what everyone's expecting. And I'm watching the TV closely with my eyeballs propped open, not blinking, waiting for that to happen. If I wanted anything to happen in the draft, Zamir White getting overdrafted in the 2nd round, I'm down for that. And I'm down for paying a 1st round rookie pick if that happens. I'm down for paying a 2nd rounder if he falls to the 3rd. I'm down for that. I want to see what happens with Zamir White, and I'm not leaving all these drafts without one share of him. My last player I want to talk about, the 5th player, make it number 5 for you tonight, and it's a quarterback. Think of all the quarterbacks I've talked about this draft season here on this YouTube channel. Who do I get fired up about the most? Who do I get fired up about the most? You guys comment about it every single time I drop his name. Think about that for a second. I'll give you a second. While you're doing, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out, helps out the channel, helps out the algorithm and all that stuff. Think now. Who could that be? I'm going to tell you right now. It's Matt Corral. Of course. of course, from Ole Miss. Last year, during 2021 season, I thought he was one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. He was slinging the rock. He was slinging it downfield, had some accuracy, also is mobile and can get you yards, can get you some of that rushing floor for fantasy. 67.3% completion rate on his career. He's fun to watch. He's a potential first rounder. I bet you he goes in the first round this year's draft. I bet you that happens. He's going to be there at the draft. Rumors are buzzing that it's going to happen. Some people are projecting maybe one quarterback comes out of the first round. I could see Matt Corral surprising the world, getting selected. He's one of my guys. I'm rooting for him, and I always root for the cheaper quarterbacks. That second, third, or fourth guy, one, they're cheaper. I like getting that cheap production. And then two, people sleep on them, even though they're first rounders. He could be a first rounder, but he probably will be. And I like drafting first round quarterbacks that are going a little bit cheaper. If they fail, no big deal. But I like Matt Corral. I liked him for a long while. Probably one of the first film studies I've done on a quarterback was on Matt Corral earlier this season. Check that out in the archives as well. But he's one of my dudes. Those are my 5 guys going into this year's draft. I wanted to talk about them. I wanted to drop it to you guys so you knew who I was a fan of. A lot of times I'm a fan of these players for different reasons. George Pickens has come back from an ACL. High-end talent who's being discounted. David Bell, good production profile, being discounted. He's come back from a poor athleticism score. Same story with Justin Ross here. Zamir White, similar. I like comeback stories if you haven't noticed. Guys coming back from injuries, guys coming back from weird situations, small school guys trying to carve their way up a roster. I like late rounders as well. I root for these players just as much as I want to draft the good guys, but that doesn't always happen. So you got to root for some of these prospects in a certain way just because you're a fan. And that's part of it. That's part of the game. You're a fan of some guys. You're not so much of a fan of the others. I don't want to be emotional with all these players. That's why I want to just get some in some of my drafts, depending on what happens, depending on where they go in the draft. But these are my guys. These are my dudes. Let me know who's your dude. Who you drafting up? Is it 5 guys, 2 guys, 3 guys, 10 guys? What's up with that? Let me know. I want to thank you, though, for watching the show, sticking with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It means a lot to me. Helps out the channel and fuels me to keep helping you with your Dynasty teams. Again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you next time.